This LOS is identify the most appropriate method to solve a particular counting problem and solve counting problems using factorial, combination, and permutation concepts. The first thing that we're going to look at in the principles of counting is the combination formula, also called the binomial formula. The number of ways that we can choose R objects from a total of N objects when the order in which the R objects are listed does not matter. We have the following formula, Ncr, okay? And it's n to the exclamation mark. We call that n factorial, okay? When you see that, it's called n factorial. So the formula is n factorial divided by n minus r factorial times r factorial. The permutation formula is the number of ways that we can choose R objects from a total n when the order in which the R objects are listed does matter. And for that, we're going to use the Npr, and it's n factorial divided by n minus r factorial. Okay, the first calculation that we're going to do is the combination formula. We're using the combination formula. And it's the number of ways that we can choose R objects from a total of N objects when the order in which the R objects are listed does not matter, okay? So you need to select 3 VPs from 5. How many different groups could there be? So it doesn't matter. You just need to get different groups of 3 VPs. It doesn't matter, in which order that they're listed. So in that case, we're going to use the Ncr, and the formula for that is n factorial divided by n minus r factorial times the r factorial. So there's 3 important keys that you need on the calculator, and it's they're all second functionalities. So you can see the first one, to calculate the factorial, we use the x factorial key, and it's above the multiplication sign, okay? And then also you can see above the minus sign, you've got the Npr, and above the plus sign, you've got the Ncr. So there's some shortcuts that you can do using those keys, but we'll work through this problem using the formula and doing it the longer way. Okay, so the first thing that we need for the numerator is n to the factorial. Well, we know n equals 5, so we got to do 5 to the factorial. So it's very easy. We just hit 5, then we hit second, and then above the multiplication. So we're going to have our numerator is going to be 120. That's easy. So our numerator is 120. For our denominator, the first thing that we need to do is n minus r to the factorial, okay? And n, of course, is 5, minus r is 3 to the factorial. So that's just going to be 2 to the factorial. So again, using the calculator, it's very easy. Second above the multiplication, and that is going to equal 2. Okay, so now we know that this bracket is going to equal 2. So the final thing that we have to do is r to the factorial, and we know r equals 3. That's the 3 VPs that you want to choose. So again, that's just going to be 3 second, and then x factorial is going to be 6. So that's going to equal 6. So we know that's going to be the r to the factorial. 3 to the factorial is going to be 6. So now we have our numerator is 120, and we have our denominator. It's 2 times 6, and that's going to be 120 divided by 12, and that's going to equal 10. Okay? So also there's a shortcut using the Ncr, and the way that you do that, I'm going to clear this. You can do 5, and then second, and then your Ncr key, and then you want 3, and you hit equals, and you get 10. So 5, second, Ncr 3. 5 was your n, second, hit the Ncr key, 3 is the number that you wanted out of the 5, and you're going to get 10. Now, this is the way that I just proved it to myself, old school, is that you have 5 VPs, and you had to count up the number of different groups. So I had 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, and 3, 4, 5. That was all the groups that I could get, and that was 10. So that was the counting using the combination formula. How many, you've got 5 VPs, you need to make groups. You know, you want to select 3 VPs from the 5. How many different groups could you have? You could have 10. So don't be intimidated by the formula. It looks a little bit intimidating at first, but in fact, using the functionality on the calculator and working your way through it, calculating the numerator and the denominator is very easy. They're giving you n, they're giving you r, and in some cases in the exams, they'll give you the formula, but I think better safe than sorry. That's a formula that you'll want to memorize. So now we're moving on to the permutation formula, and that's the number of ways that we can choose r objects from a total of n objects when the order of which the r objects are listed does matter. So you have 6 stocks and you want to sell 4 one at a time. So that r objects does matter because you want to sell them one at a time. How many ways are there to choose the 4 stocks to sell in order? So in that case, we have to use the Npr formula, which is n to the factorial divided by n minus r factorial. So as we could see from the previous slide, using the calculator functionality, this becomes a really easy question actually, because they're giving us n, that's 6, and they're giving us r, which is the 4. So let's do it the long way first of all. So we know n is 6, so we have to do 6 to the factorial. So we go to our calculator, 6 second, and above the multiplication, we're getting 720 as our numerator, okay? And we have to do our denominator, which is n minus r to the factorial. And you can see that's easy. That's 6 minus 4. So we do our 6 minus 4, which is 2. So we're going to do 2 second x factorial, which is 2. It's going to give us 2. So we have our numerator. It's 720 divided by 2, and that's going to give us 360 different ways, okay, to choose the stocks. So again, you can also do a calculator shortcut, but now we're not going to be using the Ncr, we're going to be using the Npr. So it's a very similar process. You start with 6, which is your n, second, hit your Npr key, and then hit your 4, and then you're going to hit equal, and you're going to get the same thing, which is the 360. Okay, so there's the calculator keystrokes. 6 second Npr 4 equals, and you've got your 360. So you can do it both ways. You can do it the long way using the x factorial key, which is very easy. N to the 6 to the factorial, 720. 6 minus 4, 2. 2 to the factorial, 2. 720 minus divided by 2, 360. Or you could do 6 second Npr 4 equals 360. The key thing is to just be able to identify whether the order that things are listed matters or does not matter, okay? So we're finishing this LOS, as we often do, with a practice problem just to check your, consolidate your understanding. So the number of ways which we can choose r objects from a total of n when the order in which the r objects are listed does matter is given by the permutation formula. Aha, so they've given you the formula in the question. That's fantastic. You didn't have to memorize it. But as I said, better safe than sorry. You should have these memorized, and it's not that difficult. How many permutations are possible when choosing 4 objects from a total of 10? A, 30, B, 210, or C, 5,040? Okay, this question became very easy because they told you it was the permutation formula, and they even gave you the formula. So we know the n is always easy. It's the biggest number, so it's 10. So we have to do, if we want to do it the long way, 10 factorial. So we're going to do 10 second above the multiplication key. And we're going to get a very long number there, but don't worry, that's 3,628,800 as my numerator, okay? And then as my denominator, I'm going to have n minus r, and that's 10 minus 4. So that's going to be 6 to the factorial for my denominator. And so let's just do that on the calculator. 6 second above the multiplication key, and I'm going to have 720 as my denominator. Okay, so we can see then, doing it the long way, 3, 6, 2, 8, 800 divided by 720, and that's going to give me 5040. So the correct answer is C. Easy, should be able to do that under 90 seconds. See a question like that on the CFA exam, you'd be very happy. So at first the formula might have looked a bit intimidating, but as you've seen using the calculator, becomes a very easy question. And you know it's in the NPR, so it's going to be the NPR key. So if you remember the shortcut, it's very easy. It's going to just be 10 second, and then we're going to hit that NPR key, which is right here. And then we need to select 4 out of the 10. We hit equals, and it's also giving us 5040. So that's it for this LOS. Thank you very much.